our Clutter-Free Academy. I'm here with Tanya Kubo, and our goal is to help you take small, doable steps to live every day with less clutter and more life. Tanya, thanks for coming back to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so I always like to start with the problem. This is a problem that was shared in Clutter-Free for Life and is also shared by you.
Yes.
Yes. So somebody said, I just don't have the space to be organized. Now, I understand. You know, I have lived in, I don't know if I've told you this. My first apartment was one big room, just one big room. It had one door in it, and that was to the bathing room. There wasn't even a toilet in there. I had to go out on the balcony for the toilet. But like, there was not a lot of space. And so organization was tough because it was one big multi-purpose room. And it was interesting when we had our house remodeled in San Jose, the project manager said, do you realize you are the only client I've ever had who didn't ask for more space, more storage space? And I thought, oh, that is so interesting. So you are struggling with this right now. Tell us about it.
I'm always struggling with this, right? Yeah. So I grew up in a studio apartment with my mom. And when, you know, my fun Clutter-Free Academy started before we had Clutter-Free Academy, I hired a professional organizer who showed up, looked around, handed me an IKEA catalog with $500 of stuff circled and said, when you get this and have it all put together, call me again because you have no storage. I didn't call them again, actually, but, you know, I found Clutter-Free Academy and I moved on with my life. But, you know, I live in a 1950s bungalow. I have a closet in each bedroom, and then I have 2 additional closets, and that is all I have in the whole house. Wow. I have no pantry. I have kitchen cabinets, but just not a whole lot. And they took out a lot of cabinets to add things like, you know, a dishwasher and stuff. So very little space. And, you know, it's been this, we've lived here now 2 years, 2 years this month.
Wow.
And we're still trying to figure out, like, how do you use the space well?
Yeah, it does take a little time living with it. I'm still figuring out my pantry shelving because it's a little awkward and a little weird, and so I'm still trying to figure how that works. But you know, right now, lack of space is not our issue, especially with COVID. We have 2 people in 3,000 square feet. Now, when we have retreats at our house, we have to be very, very clever with our space.
And you guys are really, you are space economizers.
We are trying. Yes. So I want to talk about from my end and your end and how we can do it. And by the way, there's no space shaming here. No. If you live in a tiny place, we get it. If you live in a huge place, and I think a lot of times people want to buy bigger houses because they want more storage space.
So is this where we talk about how you saved my marriage?
Oh, do tell.
This was the whole thing.
I really like Brian, so
I like him too.
That this worked.
But you know, when I discovered Clutter-Free and we lived in this house, and it was not the greatest floor plan in the world, let's be honest, but it was truthfully the only place we could afford. And it was in a period of time where we were really lucky to be able to afford something in like that part of town at all. Okay. And so it wasn't ideal. And we argued all the time because he was just like, this house isn't big. I mean, he hated the house. Like every minute of every day hated it. And was like, this house isn't big enough. This house isn't big enough. And I was the one who was going, the problem is not the size of the house. The problem is the amount of stuff. We have too much stuff for the size of our house. Right. And we'd bicker and go back and forth. And then, you know, I was able to be on the launch team for Clutter-Free. And I was like, see, we have too much stuff. But see, our arguments would start and stop there. Like our house is too small. No, our stuff is too big. To then me actually being able to say, we have too much stuff. This is how I know we have too much stuff. And this is what we can do about it. And then we were able to have a strategic plan. And by minimizing all of our stuff at that point, his contentedness with the house grew. And it affected everything. Like it affected his whole demeanor. It affected our relationship. It affected, you know, how happy we were as a family. So there, fun fact for you and the listeners.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm so glad, because I really do like Brian a lot. And so I'm glad that I saved your marriage. I do what I can. Well, and you just went to the very first thing I want to talk about is decluttering as much as possible. Because I think people think if we just move to a bigger house, we'll have more storage space and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
The problem is we all have a preset place in our spirit with how much clutter we'll bring into our house. It's our house X. Right. Whatever that plus is. And so even if you move to a bigger place, you start to feel like, oh, I can fill this up. And I had some of that with the red house. I really did. And so now it's like we're looking at it. It's like, okay, all the things we need to scale back. And there's this sunk cost mentality. Like, I bought it, I need to keep it till Jesus comes back. And it just, you can't do it. You've got to get free from that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, and when I talk about decluttering, I think this is really important for those of you, and some people do live in too small of a space. If you have 6 people living in 1,000 square feet, that's not enough.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's really rough. And so let me just state it out there. That is really hard. And I hate that you're living in that situation, but let's figure out how to make the best of that situation. So here's the question you need to ask yourself if you're in one of those situations. What stuff do I need for my life right now? Not the stuff that you're carrying in from your last life. Not the stuff you're holding on to for your future life, but what stuff do I need to operate right now? And this is for the people who keep, the baby clothes just in case maybe someday they get pregnant again. Now, here's the thing. You never have to buy baby clothes. People will give you baby clothes. They'll give you the hand-me-down. There is almost nothing you need. Probably the one thing you need to buy brand new is a car seat.
Yeah.
But everything else, you can beg, borrow, steal, free cycle, whatever that is. If you are truly in that circumstance, you do not need to be hanging on to other things. So think that through. Number 2, state what each room is used for. We talk a lot about this in Clutter-Free Home. We have a fantasy that our dining room is used for dining. Nobody's doing a lot of dining right now. Let's be honest. It's probably the homework room or your office or something like that. So know what the room is actually used for and equip it for that use, not for your future hopeful use someday.
Right. And I'm so glad that you expanded upon that idea, because I know at one point, it's been a long time, a couple years maybe, you had talked about that in our Facebook group over in Clutter Free Academy, and somebody had said, it's from a place of privilege. You can assume people have the luxury of assigning one purpose to one space, which was not at all what you said.
No.
You were just saying you have to designate a purpose for each space.
Right.
And, for us right now, I have always been a firm believer that bedrooms are for sleeping. Right? There's no TV in my bedroom. There never has been, and there never will be as long as I can help it. I understand that someday I may not have that choice. But bedrooms are for sleeping. That is what they are for. In this house, in the current situation, my bedroom is my office and it's our homeschool room.
Yes.
Like that one closet I have, half of it is school supplies right now.
Right.
Right now, I'm talking to you wedged into a tiny little corner of this bedroom. I bought the smallest possible desk.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the bed, and if I can find 2 more uses for this room, Kathy, I am so doing it.
Well,
I'm doing it because I need it.
Yes, and here's the thing. I don't believe that a room should just have one purpose. What I believe is you need to say what that purpose is.
Exactly. So let me tell you what that decision has done for us.
Yeah.
See, we have a crazy floor plan that we will eventually make sense. But so we have this wide open space in the middle of the house. And so it would make logical sense that would be like our school place, homework place, all that stuff, except that it's in the middle of the house and therefore it's like distraction city.
Yeah.
So you can't expect little girls to focus there. So it doesn't make sense. It is where Brian puts his computer and where he does his distance learning classes from. So we really need to not be there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what we were trying to do in the spring is trying to let that be his workspace while also keeping all of our school supplies there, and then racing back and forth around the house, trying to do school in pockets of areas.
Right.
Now we've said, you know what? It doesn't make sense maybe, but we're going to move all the school supplies here into the bedroom. Yes, we have this big expanse of space over there, but it's not logical to do school over there. So we're going to do it in here. And I cleared out one drawer. I cleared out, it's not even half the closet. It's probably a fourth of the closet. And guess what? Now our school supplies are contained. So when all my friends are messaging me like every single day, Staples has this on sale and Amazon has this. And then I'm like, no, I'm good because my school drawer is full. My school area is full. I do not need to hoard school supplies from now until my kids are in high school. I'm
right.
good.
Yep, exactly. And, it's like, what does it gain you if you have all the supplies and you're tripping over them every single day?
I mean, how many notebooks can you genuinely use in any given time?
Yeah. Well, that may not be a good question for a writer, but yes.
I don't know. I bought 12 for 99 cents each. I think I'm good.
I think you're good too. Yes. I think that it's so important. If it doesn't save you any money if you're seeing a psychiatrist about your clutter. It just doesn't work. Okay, so another thing I want to talk about, if you can't build storage, buy storage. So let me repeat that. If you can't build storage, buy storage. So, but here's the thing I want you to do. I want you to value that storage. So think about this. If you can't do built-in shelves or something like that, maybe right now it's the time to do, and when I say buy, I mean acquire. Get, like if instead of a TV stand, which is just like a table or something like that,
right?
What about putting your TV on top of a dresser that has 3 drawers that have storage in it? And I'm not saying to store nonsense. I'm saying this is what you use to store your homeschooling supplies. This is what you use to store your business supplies. This is what you use to store your cookbooks, whatever it is. I think about that like, an end table. Who needs just a plain end table when you could have something with storage? But make sure that storage is working hard for you. That's the important thing. So I don't want you to just buy a bunch of bookshelves. Like I'm the person who famously had 13 bookcases in her house because it felt like, yeah, I know, right? But
were they full of books? Because that would be
full of books because I'm a writer and people send me books all the time. But that's not okay. It's not okay. And so what I needed to do was, declutter, keep only the things I actually used, love, and would buy again, and then figure out what those things were. So we didn't have a lot of built-in storage, but like thinking about, are there pieces of furniture that you can get on Craigslist or you can get on Free Cycle or Buy Nothing that you can use to increase the storage in your house that you will actually use? This is not to just store clutter that you don't look at again for the next 6 years. It's to say, how can I make my space function for me?
Exactly.
Yep. Okay. Next point, number 4, I want you to think about this. There are different kinds of storage. So we have an attic. We use that for long-term storage. Bookcases are for short-term storage. My theory with books, because this trips everybody up, is I have 50 books that are my favorites that I will read again that I just love. And often end up doing is grabbing them off a shelf, giving them to somebody, and then ordering them again on Amazon. Because those are my life books. And then I keep any new books that I plan on reading within the next year. Everything else gets donated. But that it's a working storage unit. It's not just a bunch of stuff that I keep there. We also have a bookcase that we have games in, and that is a working storage unit. But there are things that we need to store that are more long-term, like our Christmas decorations, our winter bedding, things like that, because you need winter bedding where we live. It's not like, oh, you just throw an extra blanket on. Oh, no.
I've been there.
It's legit. So don't mix up your storage. Don't put short-term things in your attic. We have a trunk in our media room that we store that stuff in, the bedding and stuff, because we don't want to be going in and out of it. It has a glass top. It's a pain to get in and out of. So that's more long-term storage. But think about what kind of storage you have in your house and how you're using it. So there's active storage and then there's long-term storage. Active storage is stuff that you keep close by. Long-term storage can be more out of the way. But the important thing with long-term storage is knowing what you have in there so you can go back and get it.
So important.
Yes. And then the last thing is, in a small space, look for hidden storage spots. And the person who owned our house before we did a really good job with this. She built, in our laundry area, she put in cabinets so we have places to put all of our laundry stuff. But then on top of that, she built another shelf, and we're able to put things like our Instapot, our
smart.
So look around your house. Are there hidden storage spots? Now, I know some decluttering people will say, never put anything under your bed. I guess there's a feng shui principle with that, but feng shui is not my jam. I don't believe in it. I think it's just a way to keep things tidy. But if, to have a zippered bag in there with not just a bunch of nonsense under there, but maybe the winter bedding that you have down there, or maybe it's a good place to put the sleeping bags that your kids use a couple of times a year, things like that. So look for hidden storage, but make sure that it's organized so you actually know what's there and what you can get to.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Have you discovered any hidden storage spots in your house that you have?
Yeah. So we have this 1950s closet. So there's a cabinet above each of the closets, which is funny. So in the girls' room, it's actually blocked by the HVAC system. So you open that up and there's nothing, no space, right? It's just like a wall, and you're like, okay, that was teasing.
Right.
It took a while for us to look. We just assumed it was the same with ours. Because it backs up against the bathroom. Well, ours isn't. Ours is wide open.
Woohoo!
So for us, that's like where you hide the presents.
Yes. Okay.
But right now, we don't have a luxury for that. So that's becoming a long-term storage area. Yeah. So things that we've had to move out of that big room so that Brian can conduct his classes without having a bunch of clutter in the back is going up there. And we have been talking about, our bed sits up really high off the ground. We have a lot of space underneath our bed.
Oh, nice.
And we've never really used it. I don't know. We just don't store stuff under our beds. Yeah. But I'm like, there is so much wasted space underneath the king size bed.
Yes.
So now, we've been talking about getting sweater boxes. We've never been people who change out our winter and summer clothing because where we live, it's kind of equally hot and cold all year long.
Yes.
But with this tiny closet, now that we've moved stuff out of it, it makes sense to put heavier clothes or true summer clothes in a long-term storage so that we have more usable space in our closet. And, we're even using our dressers, for different things, backups, office supplies.
Right.
It's just, like you said, it's like we can't have a unitasker, right?
Right. No.
Nothing in this house can do just one job.
And let me tell you one more benefit of storing things under the bed. It's less space for your kids to throw things under their bed.
Oh, my gosh. Does my webcam show underneath the bed? Because it's scary. I was looking, going, I need to put stuff under the bed.
Yeah, putting those boxes down there. Yes.
And cat toys.
Yes.
Loves to put his toys under there.
Yes. Ashley spends a lot of time under there. Okay, I'm going to recap these real quick. So one, declutter as much as possible. What stuff do I need right now for my life? Not my past, not my future, but right now. Two, state what each room is used for. It can be multi-purpose, but just make sure that you know what it's actually being used for, and don't use space for your fantasy room at some point. Three, if you can't build storage, buy storage, but value that storage. It's not to store nonsense. It is to say, okay, this is the stuff we actually need in our house right now. Think about furniture that has storage, a chest of drawers instead of a TV stand. Think about those things that you could actually build storage into your house. And think about different kinds of storage. Is it long-term or short-term? Is it, usable storage, or is stuff that you only get into once a year? And look for hidden storage spots, up high, down low, but make sure that you keep them organized. Tanya, thank you so much. This has been so good.
Thank you, Kathy.
Well, and friends, thank you. You've been listening to Clutter-Free Academy. I'm Kathy Lipp. Now go create the clutter-free life you were always intended to live.